Here it is. Today is Nala's grooming day. We like to groom our poodles at home. It saves us thousands of dollars a year, and it is a fun way for us to bond with our dogs. So as always, I like to start with a bit of oil, and then I do a nice brush through of her coat to make sure that there are no knots, mats, or tangles. Funny enough, Nala doesn't mind getting shaved, but she really minds getting brushed. She's not the biggest fan, so you're gonna see that her head drops a lot and that we kind of push through this as quickly as we can to make sure that she is comfortable. For Nala's haircut, I like to cut her with pom-poms around her ankles. I personally like Poms on poodles, but that is a personal choice and it also comes with more maintenance. So if you're not very keen on keeping up with brushing and doing all that, I wouldn't recommend doing Poms. I would just recommend doing a straight cut. But we have finally come to my favorite part, which is the clipping. Like Lena, she is not a big fan of having her legs shaved, so Nala is quite upset at this stage. It will get better. She is 3, so she is pretty well versed already in doing her grooming, but she does still have some things that she dislikes. And because Nala was getting really frustrated at that stage, I moved on to her back. A huge tip I like to recommend for poodle or doodle owners is buying a high velocity dryer for after the bath. This dryer is what they use at the groomer, and if you have any mats or tangles, usually that high velocity dryer will get it out after they take that bath. Of course, there are also many factors to that, depending on how long their coat is, how often you brush them. So don't just buy a high velocity dryer and never brush your dog. High velocity dryer is not a fix-all, but it is an amazing tool if you have a poodle or a poodle mixed dog. Just for fun, I put in this cute little clip real quick of just me watching Bridgerton while I was grooming Nala. Since I do groom at home, I don't have a great setup, so I do it in my living room, but I make sure to clean up in between sections to make sure that vacuuming is much easier afterwards. Nala and I then moved on to her ears and her head. As we're doing that, we're kind of just watching Bridgerton, which is so cute. She's watching the screen, I'm glued to it. She is so sweet during this process. Next, we move on to a little trickier part, which is shaving her toes. For some reason today, she just really wasn't having it. There was a lot of frustration here on both sides. I was getting frustrated she was ripping her paw away. She was frustrated I was tickling her toes. Sometimes owning a poodle makes me think this is what it's like to have either a tiny little toddler or a teenager going through something. So we switched back to the back foot because finally that front one was done and she was over it. I cleaned up a little bit because I was stressed. Then we finally got back to work. We finished up that foot and then I had her switch over and we did the last paw. I was so thankful we finally got to this point because I like the next part, which is just scissoring. So scissoring her Poms usually takes a pretty long time because we have to jump back and forth between just doing this by hand and brushing through. So you'll see that I trade back and forth between the brush and the scissors. This becomes the point where I have done this enough times that I feel like I've gotten much better and that I'm confident with my skills when it comes to doing her Poms. I've been able to experiment a little bit now that I've been doing this for 3 years. But also, like I said earlier in the video, having Poms is a personal choice. And if you're not going to brush them daily, it's not worth the trouble and not worth the pain for the dog if they get matted. So for this, I like to try to get as close to eye level as I can. It would be easier if I had a table, but she stands better if she is on the ground, and that is more worth it to me than anything. Next, we move on to shaving around her sensitive areas. I like to give her a little poof on her tail, so that's what I'm working on now. I'm using a 10 blade and shaving down around the base of her tail, and then using her slicker brush to kind of floof the little palm at the end of her tail. The last time I groomed Nala, I ended up shaving the end of her tail so we could get a fresh start for the winter. And so right now we're kind of growing out her end palm on her tail. We have finally reached the end, so here I am spraying on her dog perfume. She wanted to lay in her bed for this, so then I slip on her pearl necklace. And here is the final step where I just oil her fur. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed this quick little clip at the end. Are you all done, Nala? Good job. Good job.